Hi, Ms. Lizzie here from the Hedberg Public Library, bringing you Library Shorts writing activities. This month's theme is maps. So what do maps have to do with writing? Well, you might be surprised. First of all, what is a map? Why would you look at a map? Maybe to find your way someplace? To know how to get from here to there? Maybe it tells you where things are. Can you think of any other ways? How does a map tell a story or enhance a story? Well, here are some examples. One of my favorite childhood books is Winnie the Pooh. And this is a book that has a map in it. Right in the beginning, it has a map of where Winnie the Pooh and all of his friends live and where they go on their adventures in the 100-acre woods. The Wind in the Willows. This is another book that does the same kind of idea. It has the map of where the characters go on their adventures and where they live. So you can follow along not only by reading the words, but by looking on the map. Another book, Mapping Sam by Joyce Hesselberth, tells the story of Sam as a cat and all of the adventures she goes on after her family, her human family, goes to bed. And in showing those adventures, the story is told with maps. This is the first starting map, a very basic one like you might expect, where Sam lives and her adventures, where her path takes her outside. But this also is a map of Sam on her adventures. It's a map of Sam. It's labels indicating where her skin, her skeleton, all of her various pieces are on the inside and outside. And as she travels about, she goes past things where she can only see the surface of them. But with a map, you can see what is underneath the surface of the pond at various levels. And then this is also a map of where Sam is. This is a much bigger map, a map of part of the world, but you can still see where Sam is in that world, or even bigger, where Sam is in the universe. She is on Earth. Sam goes out at night, and the sky is full of stars, and those constellations can also guide or show you where to go. That is what sailors used to use, and some still do, but they now have instruments that they can use as well. But the stars and the various constellations can guide you. You can navigate, figure out where you are and where you're going with things like that. There's a lot of great examples in this book. Another one that has some great examples is My Map Book by Sarah Finelli. Starts with a really exciting map, a treasure map. Now you can tell there are a lot of stories in a treasure map. There could be things telling you what dangers are in the way. There could be telling you maybe what the treasure is, or give you clues as to how to find it, and who buried it. Who's going to find it? Here's another map of something really basic, a map of my bedroom. And this one also has some stories in it. You can see there right by the bed, it says carpet, and then in brackets it says magic. Magic carpet. I bet there are some stories there. And then on the bed is a stuffed rabbit with a label Tom. there's probably some stories about Tom as well. Another kind of map, this is a map of a family tree map. This is the maker of the map, the sister, mom and dad, 2 sets of grandparents, and over on this side, a number of aunts and uncles and cousins. The book that we are inspired by for our maps this month is this month's NEA Big Read book for Rock County. The one for children is called A Map into the World by Kao Kalia Yang. And this is a beautiful book with a great story. I'm not going to read it to you, but I'll give you a taste of it. This is a story about Bao Nadao. She is a Hmong American. Her grandparents came from Laos. And this is a Hmong story cloth, which is essentially a map. It tells how the Hmong people escaped Laos and managed to get to safety through many, many hardships and finally emigrate to, many of them, to the United States. Many live in the Midwest, Wisconsin, Minnesota. A lot moved into these areas. And this is a story of Bao Nadao as her family moves into a new home to them and her first year there. A lot of exciting things happen besides moving into her new home where her and her grandmother, Tai Tai, put up the story cloth. They meet their new neighbors, Ruth and Bob, across the street. And Bao Nadao gets new twin baby brothers. And as the year goes by, she notices a lot of things that she thinks is just wonderful. And she wants to share them with her brothers, but they're still too young. Like the yellow ginkgo leaves. Or a snowball that melts when she brings it inside. And when the spring comes, she finds the first worm of the season and names her Annette. The end of the story. After all this year, she goes over to her neighbor's house, and Bob is very sad because his wife Ruth has died, and she starts to draw a map for him of all the things that happened in the past year that she thought was wonderful and exciting. She draws it with sidewalk chalk. There are the ginkgo leaves, Annette the worm. There's the snowball, her twin brothers, the bench where Ruth and Bob used to always sit together. She tells Bob it is a map into the world in case he needs it. So it is a different kind of map, a map of wonder and memory and all the joys that are in the world. So another way of thinking about making maps and stories. So your writing activity is to make a map. All you need is just a regular piece of paper, crayons, markers, colored pencils, maybe a ruler, maybe an eraser, depending on what you want to do and how fancy and correct you want to make it. You have a lot of choices on what kind of map you would like to make. You could make a map for your favorite book. Like Winnie the Pooh and The Wind in the Willows had maps already in them. Not all books do, but they could certainly use a map because if it's their favorite book, you probably know where everything is. One of my favorites, for instance, is the Harry Potter series. So there would be a place where you could draw a map of Hogwarts, or maybe where the Dursleys live. There's even a map in the book that's referred to in the book, the Marauders map, which is basically a map of Hogwarts, but it has where the various people are. Oh, my dog wants to join in with this activity. He could probably make a very interesting map too about all of his favorite places to sit and lie down. So there would be another map. Maybe a buried treasure map. Maybe you actually make it into a real map. Maybe it's not just a made up one. Maybe you hide something and then make a map with clues. You could do something of your neighborhood, your home, or someplace imaginary. Some made up world or another planet. Whatever you decide to make your map of, once you have finished your map, share it with somebody, with a friend, with a brother or sister or a grown-up, and tell them some of the stories that are in that map or why that map is important to a story. Have fun drawing a map and creating story.